Hi there, TLC here, and today I am going to walk you through an art process that you can do during the fall time, during Scorpio season, when all of the leaves have fallen off the trees. And we are going to use this process today to help transform fear into creation, into creativity. So let's get started. What you're going to want in this process is your big ass sketchbook. You're going to want acrylic paint, black, and then white and whatever other colors you want to use. I'm choosing to use colors that remind me of fall. So I've got yellow, and in place of red, I've got magenta right here. I'm also going to use a paintbrush and a cup of water, my palette, and before you get started, I want you to go for a walk, go outside, and pick out some leaves. So I was lucky enough to find a bunch of heart-shaped leaves. These ones really called to me. These are abundant in my neighborhood where I am right now, but I want you to pick whatever leaves call to you, specifically the ones that are flatter and less dried out, less crunchy, because we're going to use them for stamping today, and it makes the process a little bit easier. So once you've gathered the leaves that you want to use for this process, we're just going to put them to the side to start. Now, one of the things associated with this time of year, and that I think the leaf falling off the tree symbolizes perfectly, is death. Just that frank. The leaves, shed from trees once this time of year and the trees become bare. They're not actually dead, but the leaves that fall off of them do die and become crunchy and if left untouched, eventually break down and break back into the earth and are renewed and recycled as nourishment for plant life, for bugs, for animal life in the future. So I thought that the leaf was a very fitting symbol for death and rebirth that speaks to this time. And one of the things that's also associated with death is, of course, the fear of death and our fears in general. So what I want to do with this process is, especially if you're going through a time right now where there's a lot that's picked up in terms of fear for you, first, I just want to say it's important to feel through those feelings and to use all the resources at your disposal to process them. This art process just being one more possibility at your disposal for helping to process that fear. So the first thing that we're going to do is on our big ass sketchbook here, we are just going to write out, we're going to do a mind dump, a brain dump of all the things that are worrying us, all the things that we are scared of, fearful of right now. So I am just going to Okay, so for this process, and feel free to pause the playback on here and give yourself as much time as you need to write out, fill up the whole page with exactly what is giving you fear right now. So for the process of this, I'm not going to actually list out my personal fears today, but I have done this process repeatedly, and it was very effective in helping me purge these things out, in helping me purge whatever the thought cycle was that was happening in my mind at the time. Okay, so once we've done all that, okay, so the next thing that we're going to do after we've just mind dumped, brain dumped on the page is that we're going to take our black paint, and I have used my black paint so heavily. I am almost at the end of this tube. I'm going to pour some onto my palette, though honestly, if you want to, you can also just dump it directly on the page if that feels good right now. And what I'm gonna do is take my brush, and I'm gonna use maybe a little more water than I might normally. So I'm not gonna dry off my brush after taking it out of my water cup. If you didn't have your brush in a water cup before, feel free to stick it in there, stick it on your palette, and then we're gonna just cover this page. We're gonna cover it with the blackness, the blankness, this. And feel free to, you know, just really go to town on it. If you're angry, if you're frustrated right now, if you're in a place where you can't do much else other than express how you're feeling on the page, just really allow it to move through your hand and onto the page. One thing about painting this black that I love is that it's almost the same as having a blank page, but there's a different kind of potential to it. It's this representation of nothingness, of all that is and all that is not. Or maybe it's just a way to like hyper reach out of your goth emotions. I don't know. Either way. It opens us up to playing with the page in a different way, to seeing maybe expression in a different way, in a way that we wouldn't normally do. I mean, how often do you just paint a page in your sketchbook black, or just all right. And you'll see that I'm not letting it be perfect. Whoops, got some on my, I'm letting it be messy. I just spilled some on my black leggings. Luckily, they're not gonna stain black on black. And just don't think too hard about this part. Okay, all right, so I'm covering up all the edges of this, and after that, I am going to wait for this guy to dry. So we'll wait for that to dry. While we're doing that, I'm going to invite you to pause the video and grab some tarot cards if you have any, if you'd like to work with those today in this process. It is not necessary, but I I find it to be one of the processes that helps me connect into myself. And therefore, I have a couple questions that I'm going to pose today. Feel free to write these down, grab a journal, and work with these questions more on the page if you so choose. So, the questions that I have for us today, I have 3. The first one is fear wants me to know. And then the finishing of that statement is the card itself. The next one is my creative process wants me to know. And for me, the creative process is one of the ways I connect with my power. So you could also make this question, empowerment wants me to know. And then the third question, which is not really a question, none of these are, is going to be support for connecting from fear to empowerment, from fear to creative action, okay? So I have pulled these for myself for this question before, so I'm going to be so freaking shocked if I pull the same cards again. Alright, so I'm getting the hint. This one, fear wants me to know. Oh, they are different, okay. Empowerment wants me to know. Ooh. And a card of support for connecting. Interesting. Okay, so at this point, I might get out my journal. I might write about these a little bit. But what we definitely want to do is look within these cards and just see if we connect with the colors. So maybe we want to utilize some of the colors from these for our leaf printing process. I think it's fascinating that, and I pull this card a lot, this card actually contains leaves in it and this drop of water into the water. So I might play around with that idea a little bit. I think that's really connecting with me. I'm not going to interpret these on camera for myself at this moment. I'm just going to allow myself to be with these visuals and see what emerges as I connect back to my sketchbook page. So I'm going to push these cards back, pull them back, and then I'm going to bring back my big sketchbook here. And, oh, I would really, really like to not damage my cards today. So connecting back to our page on this, there's a couple different ways that we can go about doing our stamping. The way I'm going to show you today is I'm going to take a blank page for myself here, and I'm going to take one of the leaves I want to work with, that I want to stamp with. I'm going to use the back side of the leaf because the veins are deeper on the back side of the leaf, so we're going to get more of the line work showing up. And I'm going to grab my paint here. I'm going to start with white. So the lighter the color, the easier it's going to show up on top of our black background. Oh yeah, that's what we like. All right. I love it when the paint farts. It just reminds me that you really can't take anything seriously because life is farts, as A wise man once said. And if you made it this far, that joke is for you. Okay, so I'm pulling out a couple colors on my palette here, and I am going to start with, wash off my brush here, and I'm going to start with my white, and then we're just going to put like and then some yellow on top of it. I find yellow always shows up best when you mix it with white if you're trying to put it on a darker background. And then I'm just going to paint a little bit of my pink in here too, my magenta. So I like creating some multicolors. The world needs more color. Okay, so I've got that on my backdrop. I'm gonna put this page aside, and then what I'm gonna do is, I think this time I feel like I wanna start my first one here. So paint side down, I'm just gonna press it. I'm gonna go over it a couple times. And yes, it might get messy around the edges. It's not gonna be perfect. So the first one is gonna lay the most amount of, ooh, I like that. So the first one's gonna lay the most amount of paint. And then if you keep going after that, get a little more faint each time, but it should still leave a mark. Yep, there we go. And let it be messy. Maybe your fingerprints get involved with the process. Yeah, so we're just gonna keep going with that. I'm going back and forth. I've got some different sizes leaves here. Sure, nailed it. Words don't always come out very clearly for me, and I'm just learning to go with it. Okay. This can be a very messy process. But why are we here if not for the mess? Well, if you're here, you're looking for a mess. All right, I'm gonna put this one, I don't know, I'm gonna overlay it on top of the other one. Let's see what this looks like. I've done this a few times now, and every time I get a completely unique, different result from it. Yeah, this whole process is extremely messy. Welcome to my life. My life is very messy right now. I'm learning to honor the changes and transformations. I'm learning to show up more vulnerably. And, oof. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of pain in the transformation process. It is not pretty, but it is valuable. All right, this one I'm gonna try and just create an outline, because why not? So messy. I don't know how I feel about this right now, but it's definitely like testing my desire to want perfection, my desire to want things to look a certain way. So I'm just trying to accept it, allow it to be what it is. Because holy poop. Okay, sure. I don't know, there's something kind of ghostly about a white leaf outline on a dark background that I find hauntingly intriguing. And yeah, this one could just be this one could be my next masterpiece or something I never look at again. But usually, you know, we end up somewhere in between. Like, very, very often are things the best or worst thing we've ever done. Okay, so I think I'm done with my leaves for the moment, but what I want to do is I want to go in and paint that water droplet, that letting go. That's a very large water droplet. We're gonna go with it. We're going with it. Yeah. Oh, there's something so calming about the ripple effect. Okay. Interesting. I'm really liking that. I might work with it more, but I'm gonna leave you here with this one. Feels like there's once again forming. Obviously the leaf was a heart shape, but almost this like organic human heart-esque shape, and this letting go, this droplet of water into the oof. I don't know, there's just something very Did you like this? Me too. Let's do it again. Click the link in the description and we will stay connected. But until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.